We have some more NHL signings to discuss today, including teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Calgary Flames, the Dallas Stars, plus we have another coach hiring and a whole lot more. We'll discuss all the latest coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have some more NHL signings to discuss today, and we also have a few updates from the NHL General Manager Meetings. First up, the Toronto Maple Leafs have signed restricted free agent defenseman Travis Dermott to a one-year deal valued at $874,000. Pretty good, valuable signing for Dermott. It's another 1 year for him to continue to prove himself. He's going to have a lot of competition on the Leafs blue line with all the additions that they've brought in. Obviously, they brought in guys like Zach Bogosian and TJ Brody. They have Lettinen coming over from the KHL, who's looked really solid. Of course, you got a guy like Rasmus Sandin, who showed last year that he can play, so he's going to be battling for minutes. And you also have some vets in there too, of course, like Riley and Muzzin, Justin Hall, and some others that have already been, more established. So he's going to have a lot of competition here to get into the lineup. We'll see what his future holds with Toronto and what he can prove this year. Now, with that, the Leafs does put them over the salary cap. They're going to be over, depending on exactly how you adjust the roster, anywhere from $500K to just over $1 million. According to Cap Friendly, they have them just over $1 million over the cap. You could solve that by a couple of things. You could demote a couple of players in the minors. Now, with the $1 million over, they already have Pierre Engvall playing in the American Hockey League at that point. So there's $1 million savings that way. So they'd have to demote that a little bit further again, go down to like a 21-player roster. So the Leafs are going to be in tough here to carry much more than 21 players at a time, unless they decide to maybe pick up a contract they can put on LTIR so they can go over the cap, or they need to make a trade of some kind. They can technically run with the roster they have. It's just they're going to be slim on who they can keep up to the NHL at any given time here. So we'll see what they decide to do, but technically they should make some sort of move here to kind of level out their cap space here, but no big hurry. They're only over by a little bit, and they have lots of time here to figure it out. Now, as we talked about a little bit last night as well, a later signing that came in late yesterday, the Dallas Stars have come to terms with RFA forward Denis Gurianov, who had a solid rookie year last year, as well as a solid performance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Gets himself a 2-year contract at $2.5 million per season. Identical contract that we saw the Canucks sign with Jake Virtanen. So really a valuable contract for Dallas. I think Gurianov's only going to continue to get better. We'll see how much further he can take that next year. That leaves Dallas down to just having Rupe Hintz left for our RFA to sign here. So they should be able to get everything in order here in the not too distant future. They are going to be tight on space though, depending on what other moves they'd like to make. I know there's still a lot of question marks around Corey Perry, who's unsigned. I think there is some interest to go back to Dallas, but there's certainly not a lot of room. They probably want to get their RFAs looked after here first before they consider making that additional signing. The New Jersey Devils have signed defenseman Dmitry Kulikov to a 1-year contract valued at just over $1.1 million. Of course, Kulikov spent the last few years with the Winnipeg Jets organization. Previously had played with a couple of other teams. He became expendable with the Winnipeg Jets. It was not really too shocking that they did not consider re-signing him at this point. He's battled a lot of injuries over the last number of years, but he could certainly still have the potential to be a good veteran depth signing here for a team who's a little bit light on the blue line, and a team like New Jersey who's going through a rebuilding process. So pretty low-risk contract there for New Jersey to consider bringing him on for 1 year to see what he can do. We also saw the Calgary Flames sign former Penguin winger Dominic Simon to a 1-year contract valued at $700,000. He was a restricted free agent forward with the Penguins, who opted not to qualify him, became a UFA, and now he signs a contract at league minimum to play for the Calgary Flames, which will be another good depth signing to play in their bottom six. At one point, he came up to the Penguins, looked like he was going to have a lot of potential. Certainly was getting some top 6 minutes at some points as well, but just wasn't consistent enough, and they opted to go in a different direction and ultimately let him go here. So we'll see what Simon can accomplish during his time with the Calgary Flames, if he can get things back on track here. The Minnesota Wild have re-signed defenseman Louis Belpedio as well to a 1-year, 2-way contract. This is going to pay him league minimum at the NHL level, but will pay him a higher than normal amount at the American Hockey League level, which is going to pay him around $135,000. The Buffalo Sabres have also signed defenseman Casey Nelson to another one-year, two-way contract as well. Like the last player we talked about, he also gets a bigger than normal salary at American Hockey League level. He'll get league minimum at the NHL level, but he's getting $160,000 for his time in the American Hockey League. So both these players are well established in the American Hockey League, have a lot of games in, and clearly their teams are kind of making it worth their while to stick around with their organizations by paying them a higher than normal rate for their time at the AHL level. They could see some NHL time. In Nelson's case, a little bit more likely, but really, for right now, the Sabres do have more than enough capable blue liners. They ran into that last year, so he more likely will spend a good chunk of the season with the Rochester team, unless they do decide to make a trade or two here and clear out some additional room. The Nashville Predators have hired Todd Richards as an assistant coach here to round out the staff here of John Hines. Of course, he's been in the NHL as a coach in different capacities for quite some time, most recently with the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning as an assistant. He's a former head coach as well. He was, I believe it was 4 to 5 years, he was head coach for the Columbus Blue Jackets, so he's certainly a well-respected, coach with a lot of valuable experience, especially last year's playoff run. So he'll come in, work with the Nashville Predators, and round out the staff here for John Hines. So pretty good pickup by Nashville. The Minnesota Wild have signed their first-round draft pick from the 2020 NHL Draft, forward Marco Rossi, who signs his 3-year entry-level contract. Obviously, a third in the 3 years. That gives him an opportunity to earn around $2.5 million. He is expected to be loaned over to ZSC to play over in the Swiss League. So quite possible he'll likely play over there to get ready for the NHL season. I would think that Rossi is one of the players, even though he's smaller in stature, probably stands a really good chance at making the Wild at a training camp. I guess we'll have to see how they feel about things once training camp actually gets underway. But Rossi was a tremendous player in the OHL and junior last year. He certainly won't be going back to play in junior. If he doesn't play in the NHL, then I would imagine they'll loan him out to Europe for the remainder of the season if they decide to go down that route. But a tremendous signing there for their first-round pick in Minnesota. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about quickly today is the NHL GM meetings are getting underway. They've had a chance to discuss various topics so far. And one thing that we talked about before is the possibility of the NHL kicking off the next season with a big outdoor event at Lake Louise, Alberta, one of the most beautiful lakes really in the world. And when it comes to an outdoor event like that would be absolutely spectacular. But apparently they've been able to visit the site, kind of analyze that a little bit further, and the details coming out of the NHL GM meetings now are saying that likely would not be possible. Clearly, whatever they decide to do for a big outdoor event, if they can figure something out, it's going to be without fans. It's going to be a made-for-TV type of event, but it'd be a good way to generate a lot of interest, a lot of buzz around the league, and get some additional TV ad revenue for them. So we'll see what they figure out. They are still open to the idea of doing that type of event. It's just a matter of finding another location that I feel will work better. I didn't really see or hear any details as to why it wouldn't work, but right now they're saying that it's likely not going to be possible. So that is all your updates here for now. Of course, we still have a fairly significant amount of decent free agents out there that we're waiting for signings on. We still have some more draft players from the 2020 draft waiting to sign their entry-level deals here as well. So there should still be a fair bit of news here in the coming days as the last little bit of free agency kind of winds down and the last bit of players get their contracts sorted for next year. So let me know your thoughts on all these contracts down in the comments, and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.